We have Mike Hellers, our product manager, who's going to give you an update on what's going on with our product at the moment, and also give you a sneak peek at our new portal and our new marketplace product.
You're overselling that a little bit, maybe.
No.
Yes, haven't done this in a while in person. It's good to be back. Yes, focus today is really two main topics. One that we have talked about in the past, and actually Richard mentioned it this morning, which is our new LINX portal. And the second one is a project that also we have been talking about for quite a while, but we're also glad to show you where we're going with it. It's what we call the LINX Marketplace. So let's start with the portal. The account portal has been around for a couple of years. If I'm correct, the current version of it got actually launched at LINX114 in 2018. It has evolved over time. It didn't really stand still. But one of the issues, and we know it and we heard it quite a lot, performance of it, especially when you wanted to access your stats, we knew it wasn't really where we wanted it to be. It also, and again, this got mentioned, Richard talked about it this morning, there's a lot of focus in automation and giving you, all of the members, more functionality and direct access self-service onto our systems, either through the portal or API. So that has always been a little bit the focus, and has been a driver to actually revamp the portal from the ground up. The focus, and we talked about, and it's obviously, it can be very misleading, since the portal in the end, what you see is the front end. There is a lot that has happened in the back end, and there's a lot which needed to come together to get us where we are. As one example, so the whole back end of how we're collecting both SNMP and flow-based stats of all of the ports has changed. It is now based on Prometheus and using Thanos for federation. So that's a whole new backend where we're storing the data and allowing us also to improve performance in accessing the data again. If we're talking about the front end, so the UI, UX, we actually started working with an external third-party company focused on that topic. We went through a whole process, included interviews with a number of members who volunteered to be part of it. A lot of working groups internally together with the third party and our internal staff, really collecting feedback and getting us where we are now. We did a decent amount of testing internally, and a small group of members had access to an early beta version of it earlier this year. And this is what it looks like. In the end, it's a portal. It looks like any other portal, doesn't it? In the end, it is a portal. But I picked a couple of features, a couple of functionality in it, which I think are worth talking about. The first part is, and you will all find that out, so the authentication has changed as we are starting to add self-service functionality in it. Your invoices are available. We thought it really would be recommended that we offer at least the capability of having multi-factor authentication, so two-factor authentication for to protect your logins into the portal. We've decided to use Okta to implement this. So in the end, we're just it is Okta at the back end. You can enable two-factor. You can either use what we currently have enabled. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure I'm not wrong. You can either use the Okta app for it, or you can use any time-based one-time password, i.e. Google Authenticator or whatever, set up as your second factor for it. The other part, which is very closely linked to the authentication, even in the account portal, you can do some of your user management, i.e. who are the members of staff in your organization who have access to it. That becomes much more important to keep that up to date and make sure the right people have the right roles, as we're going to rely more and more on that so you can define who has access to placing orders, making changes to to your configuration, i.e. your MAC address, access to the invoices, and so on. So again, that's visible in the portal. This is a real example, so most of it is blurred out, but you have different roles that are defined that will define what that user has access to. If you want to change your MAC address, you need to be part of either the NOC role or the implementation role, or of course the main user. What else? We talked a little bit about the backend for your port statistics and your flow-based and SNMP-based statistics. The front end has also been improved quite significantly, even though it's still a little bit of a work in progress. There's already significant functionality there. And so this is your view of your service in account portal. For those who use it, there's a bit of a split between your services and then your stats. Here they really flow into one. It's your services, and you will get your stats through that same page. So at the bottom, you see all of your ports and port-based services. And the same way, you don't have that split anymore, that you have a trunk-based view or port-based view. It's all nicely structured, and it will also give you access from there if you want to make changes to any of the ports, upgrade bandwidth or change your MAC address. We'll come back to that in a second. This is the view that you have if you look at the flow-based stats, your peers. Again, you have your list of ports. You can select a port. I'll just show an example of one example of that shows a little bit that there's much more flexibility already in the UI that you have in the new portal compared to what was available before. So as an example, I selected one of my ports. I see the peers which are connected, which I see traffic for on that port based on the flow data. I pick one here. I picked PCH. What I now can do, I've selected that one. I can select another port, search for PCH. I'm on LON 1, on LON 2. I can find PCH on LON 2. And select that also, and then get a graph where I basically see everything that I've selected, i.e. PCH on different LANs, and I can see those graphs combined in one. That's just one example of what you can do with the UI, and there's quite a lot more flexibility in there. And then you have all the other expected things, which actually changing the time period makes much more sense now, since the performance is significantly better than what you had before. So even setting a custom date actually works quite nicely, and performance is nice and fast. Another significant part of it are the order forms. What you currently see, well, I call it here a sneak peek. It's a little bit more. Most of and you will see it once you get access to the portal, there's some of the pages are basically a redirect to the old portal as we're working on migrating them over to the new portal. It's transparent for you, but you might recognize them. The same is true for some of the order forms. So the port order form is re-implemented in the new structure, and the other ones are currently still redirecting to the existing ones. But they are built with giving, hopefully over time, a much more guided experience, and also moving into a direction of placing orders not only for one service, but grouping services together. Yeah. That better? Okay. So this is your page, ordering services. The one that I said, ordering a new peering service, which is ordering a port. One functionality which isn't there, but which will come relatively soon after, probably early in the year. It will also show you the pricing as you choose a port, as you add services to it. Becoming even more important was the changed pricing model. So you will get, as you go along, as you choose services, you will get the pricing for it. Changing your MAC address, so that's the first, what we really call self-service function that is available in the portal. And this is really for the use case where well, you had to replace your router, you had to replace your line card, and you want to quickly go and adjust. You have realized that there's no traffic passing anymore. Guess what? You have to change your MAC address. So this allows you to go straight away, go into the portal, find the port, and change your MAC address. Again, sounds relatively straightforward. That's easy to do. I can easily do a form where I can update it. The problem is what needs to happen in the backend so that it actually happens without an engineer looking at it. So what happens here, and we can go through an example. So this is just the UI. As I said, the UI is simple. I put in my new MAC address. And as soon as I save it, as I confirm it, it will tell me that actually what's going to happen now, your port is going to get moved into quarantine LAN. We're gonna test if we can ping your IP address if we set the new MAC address, if we can reach your IP address, and if we see any traffic which is prohibited by the MOU. If all of those are fine, it's all good. Port will get put back into the peering LAN, and your new MAC address is fine. If it isn't, we're going to tell you. I.e., we can't ping your IP address, or we see traffic that isn't allowed. And there's the two scenarios. There's the scenario where we can ping, we tell you, we let you check, and you can retry. There are other scenarios where it will simply tell you, well, this doesn't work, and it will basically put the port back to the status that it was before, existing MAC address, and it will tell you to go and talk to the NOC. And our NOC can then work with you and find the reason. And it's really only the first step. So there's many more functionality which is going to come over the next couple of weeks, months, into next year, where a lot of focus is going to go on to the automation part, self-service part, i.e. certain logical services. If your connections partner, go and order your service, get straight away implemented, pushed out to the network. Same for logical service, private VLAN, closed user group. There's no reason to have engineers involved if it's just a logical change. So what the new platform allows us is to do all of those things. And there's a number of other, as mentioned before, there's certain pages currently which is just an iframe back to the old portal. They will get changed. There's a lot of plans around the events page. More improvements around statistics, and there's a complete roadmap of changes which will happen throughout 2022. And you can get access to it next week. Here it says 15th November, which is Monday. I think the latest is it will actually be Monday evening, so really next week, Tuesday. If you go to portal.linx.net, you will see the new portal. You will also have by then received an email regarding your Okta sign in, so your details, what you need to do to activate your account as part of that, so you can get access to the portal. So that's the new portal. Marketplace. So a little bit similar and yet completely different. Why does LINX do a marketplace, and what are we hiding behind a marketplace? In the end, it's nothing really new. What we want to offer is a platform which allows our members and partners to offer services to any other member across our LAN. That happens anyway at the moment already. We know that a lot of members provide services to other members across the LAN. The fact that we provide private VLAN, closed user group type services makes that much easier and much more straightforward. And what this is really just doing is providing all of you, the whole membership, a platform where you can make your services available to the rest of the membership. It has, of course, the benefit that it brings more functionality to the exchanges. You get more value of your port if there's other people you offer your services. We're launching this in 2 different phases. The phase one really is just, that's what we're launching now, is really just a standalone platform, relatively simple web-based platform where members, partners can sign up, present their services, and allow you to contact them and get further information. The only integration into our backend system is really the authentication, so you will use your same login password that you have for the portal to log in. Phase two is what we're going to pick up after that, but the idea is really doing phase one the first couple of months, get experience, see what members, what all of you are using it for, what partner want to use it for, and then start on phase two with the goal of integrating it further into our system, i.e. if somebody orders a service that requires a private VLAN, we can obviously work on building that integration where it's useful and where it brings benefit to make it simpler for both the member who wants to use the service or the member who wants to offer the service. So currently what we have done, we have built a prototype. I can show you some of it. It's relatively straightforward, what you would expect. And so the prototype is pretty much complete. And the implementation is currently being done, again, by a third-party external company. And we hope to launch that first phase before the end of the year. That is the goal. We have started talking to members and partners that we know are interested in being part of it. If you're interested in learning more about it, want to have your services on that marketplace, get in touch with us and we'll talk about it. And that's really all that I have. Question down there?
Thank you. Am I supposed to give name and affiliation?
If you want to.
Ivan Beveridge, IG. About the portal.
Yep.
So I think I mentioned before a few meetings ago about, for example, changing the MAC address, and will we be notified if there's something that automatically happens? So now we're just past it. The question's there.
And you will. So if and I didn't go through all of the details. So if you or one of your users who has the permission to do it goes and requests a change of the MAC address, a notification, so there will be emails the same way you get the notification on the portal while doing it, what the status is. It also sends emails to any other user who has the permission to do so, will get email notifications throughout the process, i.e. it has been started, it has failed, or it has succeeded. So there is a chain of emails going through, so everybody hopefully will be notified about it.
Thank you.
Neil?
Mike, I just wanted to understand this. This will be two-factor by default. There is only one answer to that question.
It's not two-factor by default. It's Okta by default. You don't have to enable the second factor.
I think we should think about that again, because that just feels like madness to me. I mean, not having two-factor in this day and age is just nuts, I'm afraid. It doesn't compute for me.
I think the only reason is there was some concern that some people might not want to use it. Hands up if you don't want to use two-factor. Like, can I take a picture for our marketing team? So I think you've got a consensus there, Mike. I'm totally with you. I think
done.
it should be the default. It should be the option. It should be the default.
I just saw it. I saw consensus in action. We wouldn't get this on a virtual event.
Issue, is it? Absolutely.
Everyone wants it. Let's get it done.
I don't want to fail. I want it locked by IP address.
Locked by IP address. Whoa. Shall we do a presentation on that next time? Here's your locked by IP address, and it takes me all of 3 seconds to write a script to break that and make that not work. It needs to, I mean, honestly, no two-factor just doesn't compute for me. It just doesn't.
Yeah, I agree.
And the TSR kind of demands it, so.
Good. Anybody else? Oh, yeah. Sergey, from LINX, one of the developers.
I just wanted to tell you that if you want two-factor, everyone who wants it can turn it on. It's just that if you don't turn it on, it won't be there. But everyone who wants to turn it on can perfectly well turn it on in the new portal.
Good. If there's no other question, thank you all.